keep Maricopa beautiful by collecting multiple bags of litter during the 2-hour only event. To learn more about the next community cleanup event, please visit keepmaricopabeautiful.com.
Good morning, City of Maricopa. We are standing on the north side of town on State Route 347, which is the main entrance into the City of Maricopa. Over the last few years, we've seen tremendous growth with residential and commercial. As growth continues, it gives us the opportunity to do additional projects, one of which is a landscaping project down the 347. It'll go from Honeycutt Road to the north entries of town. This includes trees, landscaping, rock boulders, some metal art deco. There'll be some lighted metal structures all the way down the median. When you pull into the north side of town, we're going to have an impressive monument right in the middle of the road that represents the City of Maricopa, which has been well needed for many years. This project has been years, maybe even decades in the making, with City Council and citizens' requests and responses to increase the beautification of coming into town. We'd like to thank each one of you for the time, effort, energy, and the patience of getting this done. We look forward to having this project completed by the end of the year.
everybody. Luis Villa, Communications Coordinator for the City of Maricopa. I'm reporting right inside the brand new Sprouts grocery store with the Senior Project Superintendent, Mike Kelly from AR Mays, who's been working on developing and constructing this very grocery store coming to our community in the very near future. Hi, Mike. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the construction process and how everything's gone thus far?
It's actually been a real pleasure to work with the City of Maricopa, from the front office to the building inspectors, fire marshal, fire inspectors. It's gone really smoothly. So here in Maricopa, you guys have done a great job, and it's been a great project so far.
And I know some people may be worried that the shelves are empty right now. So when can we expect the actual groceries and everything to be delivered?
The next big step for us here inside the store is going to be to start stocking dry goods. So things are going to start happening real quick.
Okay. Final question. Everyone's really want to know, when is Sprouts going to be open?
Well, I hope you're here the 25th so that you can get your tuna salad.
I will definitely be here, and I hope to see all of you here. For all the latest developments and great things happening with the City of Maricopa, please check out what'snewmaricopa.com. Last week, the City of Maricopa came together for the largest community cleanup campaign in the city's history. Individuals from all walks of life rallied and walked throughout their community, picking up litter in a vow to keep Maricopa beautiful. We received dozens of emails from groups showcasing their efforts to keep Maricopa beautiful by collecting multiple bags of litter during the 2-hour-only event. To learn more about the next community cleanup event, please visit keepmaricopabeautiful.com.
Good morning, City of Maricopa. We are standing on the north side of town on State Route 347, which is the main entrance into the City of Maricopa. Over the last few years, we've seen tremendous growth with residential and commercial. As growth continues, it gives us the opportunity to do additional projects, one of which is a landscaping project down the 347. It'll go from Honeycutt Road to the north entries of town. This includes trees, landscaping, rock boulders, some metal art deco. There'll be some lighted metal structures all the way down the median. When you pull into the north side of town, we're going to have an impressive monument right in the middle of the road that represents the city of Maricopa, which has been well needed for many years. This project has been years, maybe even decades in the making, with city council and citizens' requests and responses to increase the beautification of coming into town. We'd like to thank each one of you for the time, effort, energy, and the patience of getting this done. We look forward to having this project completed by the end of the year.
Hi, good morning. This is Mayor Christian Price and Councilman Rich Vitiello. We are here at the grand opening of the new community center, which hosts a wing for the veterans and also a wing for the seniors, so a senior center, as well as a middle area that is a community center.
Just to say thank you. Thank you for your grace and your mercy, and thank you for things being as well as they are. We're reminded of your word in Jeremiah 29 that says, you know the plans that you have for us, to prosper us, not to harm us, to give us a hope and to give us a future. And indeed, the future in the city of Maricopa looks bright. We also thank you for a mayor that's been here over 11 years. We thank you for his service and wish him well as he moves on with the Maricopa Economic Development Alliance. Help us to keep our eye on you tonight. Guide this meeting. Guide the council members, the mayor, the city manager, his staff, and every individual that's presenting tonight. Be in the midst of it. All of this we humbly ask, in the name of the Father, in the name of the Son, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit. And we all said, amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge
the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you, Reverend Jackson. Appreciate it. At this time, we'll move to the roll call.
Councilmember Learman. Here. Councilmember Marsh.
Here.
Councilmember Smith. Councilmember Vitiello. Here. Councilmember Wade.
Here.
Vice Mayor Manfredi.
Here.
Mayor Price.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Great, thank you very much. That'll take us to item 2, which is proclamations, acknowledgements, and awards. We have 2 proclamations this evening. So I will come down there. We'll start there. Well, thank you for being here this evening. We have two proclamations. I'd like to go through those. And this one is about an area that is actually near and dear to many of our hearts, and one in which we're finding more and more of the things that are required from the public at large that we all go through. And so this is a Mental Health Awareness Month. Whereas mental health is a topic that is frequently dismissed, however extremely vital to our overall health and longevity in life, the COVID-19 pandemic has made the need for mental health awareness and services even more prevalent, as well as showcased the continued barriers to access for so many. Whereas across the United States, millions of children and adults experience mental health conditions such as anxiety, depression, ADHD, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and post-traumatic stress disorder, amongst so many others. Whereas early 1 in 5 Americans currently live with mental health conditions. Our family, our friends, our classmates, our neighbors, co-workers, and so on are the ones experiencing these conditions daily and often go completely unnoticed. Nearly 10% of America's youth report experiencing symptoms of severe depression, whereas too many individuals with mental health needs feel they have nowhere to turn and no support to access. This can lead to extreme actions such as suicide, and whereas suicide is currently the 10th leading cause of death in the United States for adults and the 2nd leading cause of death for our youth. We need to come together as a community to help these numbers to start decreasing before we continue to lose more people we love and care about. We must treat this as a public health crisis and work together to raise awareness, reduce the negative stigmas, and reverse this trend. Whereas tonight, we want to honor those that particularly stand on the front lines in the city of Maricopa, providing support to those battling mental health issues. Now, therefore, I, Christian Price, Mayor of the city of Maricopa, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2022 as Mental Health Awareness Month. And I call upon our citizens, our government agencies, the organizations, the healthcare providers, and the research institutions to raise mental health awareness and continue helping Americans live longer, healthier lives. So if you're here tonight to support this particular proclamation, would you please come forward? And I know that Councilmember Learman is going to introduce you. So please come on up.
This is a wonderful opportunity to recognize people who serve our community with our community members who struggle with mental health. And tonight we have Brianna Reinhold with Northern Lights Therapy, and we have Lawrence Wells from Wells Counseling, and we have La Frontera Impact Suicide Prevention here tonight. So we want to recognize and honor the work that they do in our community. And then in the back, we also have someone from Horizon Mental Health Care, Jessica Shappy. Why don't you come up and join us, please? Come on up for our picture. And we are going to take a picture here in just a moment, but let's give them a round of applause. Oh, you're sneaking back there. Priscilla Binky is here with Be Awesome Youth Coalition, and they focus on prevention for substance abuse with our youth. So thank you, Priscilla, for the work that you do.
Thank you very much.
If you would all like, we do have some green ribbons for awareness and buttons out at the table by where the agendas were. Take many, take a few, whatever you need, and there's some stress balls too if you want. Little crazy hair, they'll clean your phone screen. But throw them at people, they're soft, or just yourself. Whatever you need, but they're all there for you guys to take. Thank you.
Thank you, Brianna. Appreciate it. The second proclamation. Oh, sorry.
One more thing.
No,
I
go ahead.
apologize,
Go ahead.
Mayor. We have a special recognition. Antonia, if you would like to come up with the chamber. She is surprised. The Chamber of Commerce recently had their award ceremony, and Priscilla Binky with Be Awesome Youth Coalition was awarded the Nonprofit of the Year. And unfortunately, she was attending a training, and so she wasn't able to be here. So we wanted to take the opportunity tonight to award her with this awesome award for the hard work that they're doing.
The second proclamation we have this evening is for Provider Appreciation Day. If you're here supporting Provider Appreciation Day, would you please come forward? I'd like to honor you this evening. Come on. I know you're here. There you go. Thank you. Come on up. Please, right in front. Thank you for being here this evening. So whereas child care, Aware of America and other organizations nationwide are recognizing child care providers on this day, over half the children under age of 6 nationwide are estimated to spend some time in a non-parental care arrangement on a weekly basis, which provides critical enrichment opportunities and nurtures development for children of all backgrounds and is a vital building block of our state and economy. Whereas the COVID-19 pandemic has created a tremendous hardship for child care providers and the families who depend on them, who have continued to meet the needs of families while risking their health and financial stability to remain open. And whereas our future depends on the quality of the early childhood experiences provided to young children today, support for high-quality child care represents a worthy commitment to our children's future. Now, therefore, I, Christian Price, Mayor of the City of Maricopa, do hereby proclaim May 6, 2022 as Provider Appreciation Day in the City of Maricopa and urge all citizens to recognize child care providers for their important work. Let's give these guys a big round of applause. Okay, at that point, that concludes item 3 there, and we'll move on to the report from the mayor and council members. Council members, anything at this time you'd like to share with the public? Yes, Councilmember Marsh.
I don't know about you, but I'm still in shock about Mayor Price resigning, but I'll get through it. On April 20th, I attended a Pinal County Volunteers Luncheon, honoring all of the volunteers on all the committees that work at the county level, and I work on 2 of them, the Board of Adjustments and Appeals and the Pinal County Water Augmentation Authority. On April 21st, I attended the Cultural Affairs and Arts Committee. They maintain the art gallery out here in the hallway and other things. On the 23rd, I attended the second organizational meeting of the Neighborhood Watch Committee. This is something that was going on before COVID, and it kind of dropped through the cracks during COVID, but we're bringing it back. If you want to operate, if you want to become part of the Neighborhood Watch, Block Watch program, go to the city website and search for it. And you can sign up to be a captain or just attend the classes or just become a participant. The police have proven that Block Watch, Neighborhood Watch does reduce crime, and it's very effective. On the 25th, I attended the Planning and Zoning Commission. They had a busy agenda. On the 28th, I chaired the County Board of Adjustments and Appeals meeting in Florence. and that was pretty busy too. On May 2nd, I attended the Historical Society, and it was more of a hysterical society this time. We had two of our old farmers, Oliver and his son, tell the story of the history of water in our fair city, and their view as members of the agricultural community was very interesting. And I take what they say to heart. And that's about it. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. The one thing I want to mention is actually an upcoming event. My seniors at the Senior Lunch and Learn asked me if I could bring in a speaker to talk about what is defined as the resignation gap. And if you don't know what that is, over COVID, the great resignation of a lot of different ages, but primarily 50 plus, have resigned from their jobs because they found out they could live at home and be comfortable and have fun, and so they've left their jobs. And as you may know, engineering jobs are open, nursing jobs are open, teaching jobs are open, just a plethora of jobs are open. So the seniors asked if I would bring someone in as a professional to speak about the resignation gap and how to find out more about these jobs if they wanted to fill some of these jobs. And so I'm inviting the public as a whole. There is a registration on our city website for this event, but you can drop in as well. It is on Friday, May 20th at 11 o'clock at the library, and we will have Pinal County's workforce development expert there to talk about how to find opportunities to work if you want to work. And even if you're under 50 years old, please come, because this is going to be really wonderful information. So I hope to see you all there.
Thank you very much, Councilmember. Vice Mayor, anything?
It's been an eventful couple of weeks, and you know, one of the greatest things I get to do as being a council member or vice mayor or whatever it is every year, which got kind of paused for the last 2 years, is work with the junior ROTC. And a lot of us get to go in there and chat and talk to the kids, and men and women, and talk to them about leadership and what their future holds, and it's just fun. So I think it's more than council people should do that, or more than civic leaders should do it, but I think everybody has something to share there in the roles that you serve. So, you know, get with Colonel Kirksey and get in front of these kids, these young adults, and talk to them about the future and what they can do, and give them that. The other thing is a rocket challenge that Nancy puts on, Councilmember Smith puts on every year. And it's the greatest event in Maricopa for that short 4 hours. Just the smiles on kids' faces as they shoot rockets in the air. That's always fun. And then she's looking for sponsors for next year's event. So if you want to step up and help her with that, that would be helpful.
Rockets aren't cheap.
No. And then this year today, Mayor Price and I got to sit with our new supervisor, which becomes our supervisor in July 1st, becomes our new supervisor with the redistricting map. And we got to sit with him and tell him about the challenges that we face and the help that we need from our supervisor and from the county as a whole. So it was a great way to learn that. He did mention he's interested in having some meet and greets over the next couple months or next month or so with folks in the city of Maricopa. So if you're interested in that, send me an email and I'll be happy to set up 10 or 20 of us together to sit down and chat with him. I think he was talking about bringing a food truck, so send me emails. If we can get him to pay for a food truck, that's a good thing. That's it.
Perfect. Councilor Wade.
First of all, I want to recognize that it is Teacher Appreciation Week, and if there are any educators in the house, which I have noticed a couple, I want to say congratulations for all the work you do. Yeah, absolutely. You mean quite a bit. This is a season where you have multiple activities and places to go. We have multiple places to go, activities to participate in. And this weekend was one of those weekends where I got an opportunity to see the mayor in action at Dancing with the Stars, for the Stars here, and it was held at CAC Saturday night, a fundraiser for the Boys and Girls Club. So I'm not sure how much money they raised, but it was Oh, that's correct. That's right. He said, well, $105,000 was raised, and it was great. It was good to see people dressed up and ready to party, and the mayor turned it on, I think, with second place. Is that what it was?
Second place.
No, not bad, not bad.
You're not first, you're last.
Yeah, wow.
Then of course, it made it over to the event for Chamber of Commerce, the Chamber of Commerce annual event as well, awards night presentation. Got there a little late, so I didn't get a chance to see the awards presentation, but I have to say that I concur with quite a few of the people who received awards that night for their service to the community. And then finally, on a personal note, it's a personal note, not necessarily for me, but for a member of our community that works very hard in our community and supports the person who works very hard, and that's Pastor Jackson's wife. She just completed her PhD and had a little function for her. Yeah, let's give it for her. I know there are other doctors and PhDs in the house, so you know exactly what you're going through. And I have not gone that high, but I know that it is certainly worthwhile, and I think it was worth recognizing her this evening as well. So that's what I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Vidiello. Anything? Oh, Councilmember Learman.
Councilmember Wade was late to the Chamber Awards, but he was not late for the dancing. So he did quite a bit of dancing that night. Mayor, I was remiss during our mental health proclamation to acknowledge the work that our fire department and police department do regarding mental health. They are on the front lines 24 hours a day. And as a community member and a mental health provider in our community, I'm consistently impressed and amazed at the training that they receive and the amazing service that they provide community members who are struggling with crisis. So I just want to acknowledge their work with mental health tonight. If you could join me in a round of applause.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Vidiello.
Yes, you know, I live in Cobblestone, and I get a lot of people asking me, hey, what are these new cameras that I see as I pull into Cobblestone? And there's several other ones. Jim, if there's anything I missed, could you please correct me to make sure? So these cameras are not taking pictures of you every single day of the week. They are taking pictures of, God forbid somebody steals a car up in Chandler, wherever, it doesn't really matter where it is. And that car passes through a neighborhood here in Maricopa. We are notified, and we are now notifying them that the car passed through Maricopa. So I just want to make sure, and Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, it's not taking pictures every single car that drives past, or is that? Just want to make sure, because I have told them that it's taking pictures of people's cars who are stolen from other places. So if you could correct me, that'd be great.
Sure. Mayor Price, Councilman Vitiello. The stationary license plate cameras take a picture of every license plate. It compares them to 3 hot lists, one through the federal crime computer, second through a state crime computer, and then the alert list that MPD officers put in there. So it will only return a license plate that is wanted for a crime. But if it's just someone who's minding their own business, that everything's fine, it will take a picture and it will not, and it doesn't match the list, it will just pass.
And how quick after that they were up that a car was actually captured immediately passing through?
We've had a lot of really good success stories. I don't want to take too much time, but our officers can get the return back within seconds.
So the reason why I'm mentioning it again, like I wanted to make sure I was 100% correct, that being a big public safety, this is a great thing for our city, because again, they don't want to pass through our city knowing that we're able to watch for those people who are going to steal vehicles. So I just wanted to mention it because I do get asked that question by a lot of people throughout the city, especially in Cobblestone. They're not in every single development yet, but hopefully they will be, and that way they won't come steal our cars. So just wanted to mention that to people who have asked me, who have said, what's this camera doing? So just wanted to make, set the record straight. So thanks, Jim, for helping me correct what I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Council members, just wanted to give you a quick update here. I was recently invited tomorrow, actually, nothing like last minute, but I guess that's the way the speed of legislation happens sometimes. As you may or may not have heard on the radio, that soon to be potentially our representative as the redistricting happens. We will potentially have Senator T.J. Shope as our representative. He's currently in the Senate in another district. If you were to elect him in this district, then he would be our representative. But my point is that he ran the I-10 widening bill. And that's really important because as we start talking and continue to talk about the 347, the exit points of the 347 go on to the I-10 and the entry points do as well. And so as the widening is going to now happen through it passed the House, it passed the Senate. The governor is having a signing ceremony tomorrow. I've been invited to represent the city of Maricopa down there as an honoree for this is an area obviously in which it'll help our area significantly as the I-10 now moves to 3 lanes in each direction. This is a really expensive project. People often think that roadways are just something that you just need to build and the money will be there. It's amazing. Nothing could be further from the truth. Roadways are so hard to design and engineer, and you have to do them correctly, and you have to buy land, and you have to make sure that everyone around there understands how it's going to be. You have to go through the public comment process, and then you have to get the money. Just so you know, the state has a surplus this year, and while they're in the middle of the budgetary process, they have not figured out the entire budget, and that's obviously a complex issue for the state legislators to do. But because of the importance of this particular fund, they carved out $400 million on top of all of the money that had been raised by Proposition 400 in the Maricopa County area, and putting together with ADOT and other jurisdictions, there is still not enough money to widen the I-10 to its full potential. So the reason why this bill is so important to be signed and passed is because now what we will do with it is we will now present it to the federal government as part of the infrastructure bill that has recently been signed into law by Congress and President Biden. And from there is a mega project fund. And so we anticipate, because of our $400 million, that we will be able to match what they give us, and therefore we anticipate another $350 million that we need in order to complete this project. But if we get it, which we think we will, because of the entire backing of the entire state, including the entire congressional delegation and everybody else, that puts us in a really good place to get that type of award. And so if that transpires, then eventually, because we all love driving in construction, laden roads, but expect the I-10 to be under construction for a few years, I think until 2026. But that's a great thing to have done, and it will certainly improve the commerce corridor that is the backbone of the state's highway and economic system. So that is a big deal for us. And then lastly, you've all heard this. You probably can tell the story better than I, but I did resign as of July 1. So I'm still sitting here today. I haven't gone anywhere yet. But I had the opportunity to take a job with the Maricopa Economic Development Alliance. And when you realize what the Maricopa Economic Development Alliance does is our job is to take Maricopa to the next level by partnering with the city and understanding how the city works, and then at the same time going and seeking after large industry. So imagine, for example, an Intel or a Honeywell or a Motorola here, okay? And let's say that they bring 1,000 jobs and $250 million in investment, and that means construction jobs, that means all types of ancillary jobs and projects and other businesses that come. And then at the same time, they might provide 1,000 high-paying wage jobs at an average of, let's say, $75,000 for those 1,000 people. Now, I don't know about you, but if you could, depending on what your job is, be hired at one down the street, or instead of traveling to Mesa or Gilbert or some other location, that would be obviously in most cases highly beneficial, because now you get your time back, you get your commute, you get your gas money back, and at the end of the day that also helps the city because it generates more money and more economy here. I think you can see that in every city that has major industry, Phoenix, Gilbert, Chandler, where they have those clusters of large industries. You also have have a very successful and economic boon to the entire city. It's that literal rising tide that raises all ships. And so that will be my goal and my mandate as I go to this job as of July 1. And I get to take the connections and networks that I have built and apply that to continuing to do much of the same thing that I've been doing as mayor. So while it will be sad to leave this job that I love, the fact of the matter is you're in great hands. You have a great council, and you will roll forward, and great things will happen for the city in the coming years and decades. So I'm excited about that. With that, that concludes our reports for this evening. And just as a way of information, City Council met tonight to discuss, the process. They will come forward here in the appropriate time and relay that information to the public as to the process in which they'll follow for appointing another council member as well as selecting the mayor. So just want to let you know that is still forthcoming and be on the lookout for that. That takes us to the report from the city manager. Nothing at this time. Thank you. That takes us to the call to the public. Anyone like to approach the podium at the call to the public? At this time, we'll give you 3 minutes, at which point you'll see a little buzzer up there. It'll turn yellow at 30 seconds, and then it'll buzz you turn red at the end of your time. We encourage you to tell us what's on your mind. Just know that we don't typically answer because those topics haven't been agendized on the city council agenda. But we do want you to get answers. We have staff in the room, and we'd love to, and we'll always be around afterwards to help answer questions as well. So if there's anyone who'd like to approach the podium at this time, you may do so. Now, I also do have a speaker card for the call to the public, so I'll go there first. Barry, would you like to proceed?
Good evening, Mayor Price, City Council, staff, and friends. My name is Barry McCain from Arizona City. Recently, on a Saturday, I had a wonderful discussion with the Vice Mayor and later on with Councilman Rich. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, but while I was later, I heard it being said that we have to elect 2 people. That just brought the freedom rider right out of me, and I was concerned about it. So I want everyone to know that the vote is important, but it's an individual decision with whether you use it or not. There's no have to it. It's your vote, and your vote is important, each one of them. So therefore, after studying the vote as I was going across the country and re-experiencing the Civil Rights Act, it was pointed out to me that the 1964 Civil Rights Act was before the Voting Rights Act 1965 because of the racism at that time. But the voting, to me, I liken it like keys to your house. Would you give the keys to your house to someone that you don't trust or someone who you have no respect for because they don't have respect for your possessions? Well, that's just how important the vote is, that we don't want to overlook it. It's so important that it should never be overlooked or told you have to do anything. It's your right, and you use that right if you're qualified voters. Just that simple. So I want everybody to understand that. Like I said, it's very important, but at the same token, it's not forced on you, so therefore you don't have to do anything. That's another form of panicking. We don't panic. So I want to congratulate about the condos that's going to be built here. Doing water, I know that's how we get around the 100-year guaranteed water supply, by building condos and apartments. But your vote is your answer to within government. And if you don't have a vote, then you don't have a say in government. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. I appreciate it. Anyone else at this time like to approach the podium? I don't have any more speaker cards, so you may just come on up. Okay, seeing no one, we'll go ahead and close the call to the public at this time. And thank you very much for your participation this evening. If I can get the page turned here, that would be lovely. There we go, consent agenda. Council, this takes us to item number 7. This is the consent agenda, which items which runs through items 7.1 through 7.9. Are there any concerns or questions that you have on the consent agenda at this time that you'd like answers to? Any presentations or questions you'd like to have done? Okay, if not, can I have a motion to move the consent agenda, please? Well, I'm going to pick one. Okay, we'll take Councilmember Learman with a motion, and will you second? All right, there's the second, Councilmember Smith. Again, any further discussion on this? Seeing nothing, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. And that'll take us to the item 8, which is our regular agenda and or public hearings. At this time, we have item 8.1, which is a public hearing. The mayor and city council shall hear public comment regarding the request by David Bond of BFH Group to amend the general plan, future land use map, and zone map change for approximately 16.10 acres generally located at southeast corner of Stonegate Road and Allen Stevens Parkway within the City of Maricopa incorporated limits. So we'll turn the time over. Oh, sorry about that. Time's up. There we go. All better. Please proceed.
Good evening, Mayor Price, council members. Rick Williams with the Planning and Zoning Department here. Byron Easton was your project manager on this evening. He's at a planning conference, so I'm going to fill in for Byron tonight. As you stated, Mayor Price, this is a request by David Bond. It's actually 2 requests before you this evening. One for a general plan amendment, amending the future land use map on approximately 16 acres of vacant land from the existing employment district to the high-density residential land use. Accompanying this request this evening, sir, is a zone map change, rezoning the 16 acres from the light industrial warehouse zoning district to the high-density residential district. Mayor, if I might, combine both requests into one presentation.
Please.
And then it'll require 2 separate motions at the end. Thank you very much for that. As I'd stated, we have 2 requests before you this evening, the 2 being the general plan amendment and the rezone. So we're at the very initial stages of the development process for this proposed project. However, I would also state that we have a companion development review permit site plan that is accompanying this as well. However, we're not quite finished with that. Still working out a few details on it, and we anticipate taking that to Planning and Zoning Commission on, I believe it's the 25th of May this month. So just wanted to state that.
And can you move the microphone, just point it towards it? There you go. Thank you.
With respect to the site itself, we just talked a little bit about, we're going to go over where it is located here in a moment, but the existing uses on the site. So what I'd like to do is skip down there to the total dwelling units and talk about this. The general plan amendment and the rezone request before you this evening are for the construction of 318 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath, owner-occupied townhouses. Now, this is important because this is the first of its product in the city of Maricopa. So not only are we going to talk about it tonight, Mayor, Council, you're going to see this again as the final plat coming through, because in addition to that development review process, we'll be running through processing a preliminary plat as well as the final plat, which essentially prepares the development for the for sale portion of that. So that's really exciting. It's not just your typical, multifamily development, which we've seen, quite a bit of lately, but this is actually owner occupied and owner invested. So that's exciting. I just want to direct you around the location here a little bit. You'll see that the actual site is outlined in red there, and I don't have a mouse here, but to the southeast there is your Walmart. So that's the Wells development. A little farther south, the Maricopa Casa Grande Highway. Just to the east of this, it's not showing up, but there's a charter school that's been built there. And then obviously we have the Walmart development itself as well. So A lot of commercial developing around it, as well as additional multifamily developments as well. I would also note that to the west of the subject site, we have an existing PAD which has a mixed-use designation on it with a combination of traditional multifamily development as well as retail and commercial as well. So just if I could direct your attention to the exhibit on the left, that is our existing general plan. As you can see outlined in red again, there is the subject site, and this 16 acres are designated as employment. You know, now employment means a bunch of different things. It's predominantly, described as light industrial, warehousing, but it clearly makes room for commercial retail and a variety of different types of land uses. Directing your attention to the general plan on the proposed general plan on the right, you can see that we're proposing high-density residential in this area tonight, that's pretty straightforward as to what the land use category is and what we're proposing it for. With respect to the zoning, again on the left, you can see that the commercial industrial exhibits most of the site. However, we're looking to change a 16-acre portion of that to the high-density residential as well. With respect to the process and how we've gotten to this point, the applicant followed all the requirements set forth, Mayor, in the zoning code. We advertised the public hearing. The meetings were published in the local newspapers. We notified property owners within 600 feet of the subject property, as well as posting it on the site and in the newspaper as well. There were 2 neighborhood meetings that were held regarding this. March 14th and March 29th, both at the Maricopa Library. We had a total of 5 citizens show up for both of those. And the essence of that meeting is captured in the public performance portion of the staff report before you this evening. I can tell you with respect to those meetings, Planning Commission, we've had no additional citizen comment regarding this, even up to as we walked in here this evening. Planning Commission conducted a public hearing regarding both applications Monday, April 25th, and determined that both applications had met all the requirements outlined by the city for approval, and with the unanimous vote 7-0, voted to approve this before you this evening. Mayor, Council, that being said, staff is recommending approval of the minor general plan amendment before you this evening. Case number GPA 2107, subject to the conditions stated in the staff report. As well, under separate action, we are recommending approval of the zoning map amendment before you this evening, ZON 2105, subject to the conditions of approval stated in the staff report as well. Mayor, Council, that concludes my presentation, and the applicant is available here, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Council, do you have any questions at this time? Yes, Councilmember Smith. Sorry, I didn't know if you guys were motioning to me or not.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I'm struggling with the right word to use, but I'm going to use the word significant. We have a significant amount of residents who worry about land use change from employment, light industrial, commercial, to housing of any type. And so I know in the staff report, it talked about the benefit in this particular case, which actually spoke volumes to me. And I wanted you to speak about that so that the public had that information for their own analysis. Thank you.
Mayor Price, Councilmember Smith, that's an excellent observation, and one that I would state that communities across the valley are fighting that, have those same concerns. And, certainly when we saw the residential development come back so strong after the downturn, 2010, 11, 12, there was clearly, I don't want to say an effort, but there certainly seemed to be a pattern of cannibalizing commercial and industrial employment uses. That is something that we are clearly very cognizant of. And we talk about a combination and a blend of land uses all the time, and it's important that we find that right balance, and we use different avenues to try and determine what's right, what's too much, what's too little, where do we need more. So I have a slide that I just want to show with you, and I'm going to share with you, ma'am, a little bit of information that's kind of site-specific, and then I think I have a little information, that is more city-specific and that I can, so let me get to this. What you see is a current snip of our land use map for that subject area. And as we stated, we were talking about a 16-acre site that we're changing in employment use to a multifamily residential, higher density land use. So I don't have a pointer. We can see the Walmart, the white building right down there in the corner there. And so if you move just a little north and east, you'll see the kind of gray employment district. So yes, ma'am, we are recommending approval and changing that, and we're supporting that for a couple of different reasons. One, we're creating a nice transition from the single-family residential to the north, and we've already expanded the multi-use and the commercial uses to the south, to the east, and more specifically, the Wells Center itself. We know that we've got additional multifamily coming to the east across Porter Road, and so what we're starting to see right now is an influx of people wanting to come into the Wells, the fast food restaurants, the trailer supply people, full-service restaurants, and I think that's a result of the rooftops are coming, the commercials coming, and they're starting to feed off of each other. The other thing that makes this really work, and when we took it, look at this in the analysis, is we've got a very, very strong employment corridor southeast of this site, just a little over a mile away. So even though we are recommending that we that we make that amendment, and we're supporting that change in land use, we feel that the city is well covered and that we've got plenty of land. In fact, it's already starting to develop, with the self-storage coming in, with the RV storage, and other applications that we're starting to see come in. So we felt confident that we weren't cannibalizing. In fact, we were strengthening the area, bringing more, to what's actually evolving as a high-density residential hub, cemented around commercial to support it. So that was our theory behind that. The other thing that I wanted to, Rudy and I were just having a conversation about this the other day, and so looking at from a regional standpoint, I just wanted to share something with you, and this came from a staff report that y'all had actually seen 8-10 months ago, maybe a little over a year, shortly or a little before I got here. But the city currently has approximately 2,484 acres of land reserved for retail, commercial, and through the city's general plan. Now, I'm not going to read every word of this, but essentially what we determined that if you converted that to square footage, we were essentially looking at, we have set aside through the general plan essentially about 21 million square foot of commercial, retail, and employment land use area. I think based on our population and what we're looking at, and what that would require based on a formula that we took from the U.S. Census We would need about 3,400,000 square feet. So we're well ahead of where we are. So again, when we look at it in that context, we feel really good about what we're doing in the area there, supporting that land use change, because we know we've got a good solid base there in the area of the Well Center. But more importantly, we're rock solid with an abundance around the city.
Thank you very much, Rick. I appreciate you bringing that document because I have used that document many, many times to talk to residents who share this concern.
Right.
And when you're reading about housing development after housing development, you can see how they get concerned. But when you actually put in front of them a national average and where the city of Maricopa stands in regards to land set aside for commercial, industrial, and employment, then you begin to realize there's plenty of land for the population that we expect the city of Maricopa in its current boundaries to. And then, you know, if anything was to ever be annexed, it goes beyond the current boundaries and even provides more opportunity.
Absolutely.
And more. And then on top of that, I really appreciate your discussion about how communities flow, because I think that's important too, and I use this often, in that you have single-family homes on a perimeter, you move into multifamily homes, then you move into commercial, and it's oftentimes those multifamily homes that are used as employees for that commercial entity. And so those employment opportunities don't come if you don't have the surrounding high residential entities that can provide the employees for those commercials. And so when you explain that to people, it also becomes very obvious that it's a really good plan and it works out well for a specific community, a specific circle, and those circles exist throughout the city. So I appreciate your explanation. And that was well stated in the staff notes, so I appreciate that as well. I just like to have public conversation about it.
Absolutely.
Because it's really good information for those that are concerned about commercial space. So thank you.
Mayor Price, if I may, I have one additional slide that I think y'all will find very interesting, and it's another, it's just a snapshot of where we are, because we've been talking a lot about multifamily, and so.
Please proceed.
The housing plan goal, this is something that we've been working on. Our GIS departments are taking a look at it, creating new ways that we can, create this information and get it at our fingertips. And I thought this was, very interesting, and thought I would bring it to you because it'd be pertinent to the higher density conversation that we're having, and that is that, the city set out a goal to reach a certain percentage. And felt the need, to create that diversity in housing because we were lacking in certain areas. And so we've directed our attention. We've created ordinances and design guidelines to help us get there. So I thought I would, share this with you that, essentially we have at the last time we took the count, 23,800, single-family residential homes in our city. 25% of that is almost 6,000. So we've been working hard. We've brought a lot of good stuff before you. And to date, we're right at about 35% of meeting that 25% goal. So it's good information to have. It helps you guide, when you plan and look at it. Especially we've got general plan updates coming. We're talking about master transportation plans, so that's all really good stuff. But more importantly, it shows how the two applications before you this night, help us move forward to reaching that goal. So, Mayor, that's really
Mayor,
good
can
now.
I add a couple of quick comments
Yes.
to that?
Go ahead, Rick.
You may recall, Council, about 2, maybe 3 meetings ago, I shared with you a study of nurses making $80,000 a year who can't afford a house, and police officers and firefighters and school teachers. We have to have affordable housing for these type of people that we need in our communities. And it's important to note that even though it says multifamily, that includes owner occupied. It includes single family, single resident, single story for rent product. is not just all stacked apartments. It's a variety of things that will meet various needs. And I was just stressed today, we had 2 people that we had offered employment to who were very excited about coming to work with us until they looked at our housing options. And these were jobs that are paying above the average in our community, and they had to turn us down because there was no place to live here. And they couldn't commute from North Phoenix and other places, particularly with gas prices. And it's not just us, it's going to be the hospitals, it's going to be the entertainment venues, it's going to be the retailers. So it's critical that we have this diversity of housing, but keep in mind our primary focus is still the traditional single-family home that will make up 75 to 80% of our community. And lastly, going back, it's the density that helps retailers, not so much because they can fill jobs, although that's an important piece of it, but because the spending value is there. You know, if they could take, and as we know, these retailers won't come unless they can make money. And we've had a struggle after the Great Recession, followed by COVID and everything else, and we're now on the precipice of being able to land quality retail opportunities and other things, but if we can't fill those jobs, they're going to turn around and walk away.
Councilor Wade.
Thank you, City Manager. You actually answered one of the questions that I had. And the other question, and that was that a combination of residential, commercial, and other properties? That's what I wanted to know. The other question is, it states the current multifamily entitlements approved to date is 2,135 units. But could you speak to how many units we are actually in need of so that they can get some understanding that although there's a lot of construction and things going on out there, there's a lot more that needs to be had for the multifamily?
It's that 5,954 number that you see on the screen. And, you know, and that's
multifamily. I thought that was multi and single family.
That's just multifamily.
Okay.
I mean, single family, we're always going to build more single family homes, as you know, historically as we move along. But that's just the number for. So we have 23,800 single-family homes. At 25% is where we come up to the near 6,000, and that's just kind of general rule of thumb. You got to be in that 20 to 25% in order to be a well-rounded community and meet the needs. We're talking about people who's getting started in life, people who become empty nesters, people who lose a spouse and need to downsize. We're telling them you got to leave our community, or you got to stay in your 5-bedroom home. I don't want to leave my church. I want to leave my friends. I don't want to leave my community. Well, you have to because we have nothing for you. So our goal is to create that circle of life housing for all of those people with all the needs that they have that not only benefit them, but benefit the community as a whole as well.
Like Councilmember Smith, I'm glad we're having this conversation out in the open because I think it's important. Thank you.
I want to go back and reference the, Rick used an example from a few weeks ago when we were all here, and it was a presentation that Elliot Pollock, the renowned economist, gave to GPEC, and it talked about the amount of houses that are needed in part because we're a victim of our own success. You know, and that's a really interesting place to come from when you realize that Arizona has done so well. In fact, the ACA just put out that we are the #2 state in the union for basically the overall economy and the business attraction of all 50 states. That puts a crosshair right on Maricopa, especially as we look forward. But at the same time, as we look right now, for these houses that are being built here in the city of Maricopa, if you extrapolate this across the entire state of Arizona or the entire Phoenix metro area, what you realize is that all these big businesses that are located in the state, they have to have people to work for them. And some of those people come from here, and some of those people come from outside of the state and move here because of those businesses. And those people have to have houses too. And so what we're finding that we build houses at a certain rate, and yet we still need some 40,000 extra homes per year just to keep pace with all of the businesses that are located here. So, you kind of have to do the math and realize that this is a no-brainer, and that people are going to move wherever they find the value, wherever they find the best community in their mind, where they find safety and peace and, whatever that mixture is for that individual family. So, we're a long way from our goal, but yet we're still on track. And I think that this is a good way to get us there is to start to, like Rick said, add that diversity of housing. One of the things I hear people say all the time is I moved to this other city because my situation changed. Just what Rick was saying, right? Somebody's spouse died, or they want to downsize, or they're retired, or they had a son or daughter move home with them and they need to upsize, or whatever the case is. We're not stagnant in life. And so we want to change, but if there's nothing else to go to, how do you do that? You have to leave your community. And that's a real sad state of affairs. And so we were never intended to be that way. It's just where we ended up in the last, 12, 15 years because of the Great Recession, and everything froze. And so I think that this is a really interesting perspective to understand the value that we're a victim of our own success, that people are going to continue to escape, natural disasters on the East Coast and in California, and they're going to keep coming here, and this is just the way it's going to be. And so we have to plan for that. And this is part of that planning process, is understanding that people aren't going to stop coming. So if land is there to be sold, and there's land that can fit into the general plan, and it can have a master plan to it all, then we've provided for all these different avenues and angles. So I think that's really important. Any other questions, Council, at this time? Yes, Vice Mayor.
Thank you for the presentation. It's a good presentation. I love the fact that we had more questions to ask. And, it brings up an important thing is when I spend probably a stupid amount of time on social media, and I get tagged in posts all the time, and we say, hey, we're building a new housing complex, or there's a new whatever being built, or whatever it is. And one of the things is people say, please stop. Don't approve anything. And they say, we want no more housing, bring commercial. Right? And I cringe almost, because there's no commercial coming without housing. So, and what I mean by that is, yeah, we have the housing that might support a Kohl's or a Target or whatever it is, right? We have the housing, the people that live here. We have a nice, high, medium household income. It's doing well, right? So people would shop at those stores. But we don't have the people to work in those stores, because if you're buying a house for, what's the median household list price right now, $424 or something like that. So if you're looking at $424,000, if you're making $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year, it's probably not going to get approved for it, right? So then you have husband and wife, and maybe two of them can get approved. But when you look at the ability for us to have the commercial we want, to have the restaurants we want, to have the schools we want for the kids that we have, and the teachers that we need, and the public safety officers, as well as fire and everybody, right? These are not jobs that start at $150,000 a year where you can go out and qualify for a $500,000 house. So there has to be a diversity of housing. There has to be. And so what we have to do is we have to look at what housing we have, what the diversity is needed, and look at the fact that it's not just single family. We need the multifamily. We need the owner-occupied type multifamily where they can rent out a section of it. We need all of those, the single-family rental units. And I looked at the new apartments we just built. Not we didn't build anything, right? The developer built. So you look at the new apartments the developers built, and it's their waiting list right now. And these are apartments that when they first started talking about them, I think it was in the $900, $800 range for the one bedrooms. That was 3 years ago. And now you're looking at $1,200 for a one bedroom apartment, because there's such scarcity of apartments and places for people to live. And I hire people. I run a company here in the city of Maricopa. I have 9 employees. And I used to pride myself on having employees that live in the city of Maricopa. But I'm hiring people, some just out of school, right? And it's their first job, and they can't live here. It's impossible. So they have to live up in Chandler or Tempe, and they're coming from out of state to take this job because it's a job to start their career, and they can't live here. So my partner and I were actually talking about buying a house and letting them use rooms in the house, so that you can do it. And the funny thing is, when I was talking to some teachers about it, that's what teachers are doing. They're actually renting a house for 4 teachers that are coming to the city of Maricopa to work. or 3 teachers are renting a house together because they can't have their own place. So there has to be there has to be the multifamily. There has to be an equilibrium that's met. Where do we hit it? I don't know if it's 5,954 units or not, but we're going to find out soon enough when these other ones come online. So, I fight the battle as much as I can online and explain to people that we need this. We need other housing units that people can move into and people can use. So, anytime we get the chance to put that information out there more and more, I'm all for it. But thank you for a great presentation.
My pleasure. So, Council, again, any other questions at this time? Remember, this is actually a public hearing, so we're going to open the public hearing. We've had a presentation, we've had some council comment, but this is a public hearing, so it's open to the public. If any of the public would like to approach the podium and speak to this item and this item only, you may do so. Come on up. Please come up here to the podium and tell us your name for the record. Talk into the mic so everyone online can hear you.
Good evening. My name is Sally Meyer, and I live in Glen Wild. And I oppose highly what you guys are thinking of doing. It's not a great idea. You already have a Walmart, a Banner, a school, a brand new, storage place. You have a dentist office, a Walgreens, a Jiffy Lube, and now you want to stick in a bunch of houses right in the middle. I'm not going to spend $500,000 on a house with all that around to look at. You are taking away my views. You're taking away everything. I am not opposed to building for the city of Maricopa, but I got to tell you, you guys got to pick different places to just stick houses in. Right now, across the railroad tracks, you can't even see the skylight anymore. It's just wall-to-wall houses this close. And I feel sorry for the people that live right on Ellen Stevens. I feel very sorry for them. The traffic is, come out at 8 o'clock in the morning when moms are taking the kids to school at Legacy or to the A+ charter. They're flying down that road 80 miles an hour every single day. My husband and I are walking at 6 o'clock in the morning. We're now walking at 5:30, so we avoid all that garbage. There's no speed bumps, there's no police, there's nothing. And I'm sorry, but it just breaks my heart to see you guys just stick in another housing. That whole strip there, all the way down to Sonita, that should just be industrial. Just do your light industrial. Keep the housing away, or the apartments and stuff away from that. Build up by the hospitals. Build in these other big fields that there's not communities that these people have worked their butts off to live in. I mean, it's ridiculous. Come live in my neighborhood and see the dirt and the dust. We moved here in 2016, and I'm gonna tell you what, I still to this day do not have a day without dust because of all the construction going on in our neighborhood. But I mean, seriously, I think the city council or the planning or whoever really we didn't even know about this thing because we aren't on that block. We didn't get a letter. I didn't get a letter that said come to the city council meeting about this thing. I'm just finding out about it today. So that's my biggest concern. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Anyone else at this time? Okay, seeing no one, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing at this time. Thank you for your comments and for your participation. So we are going to move to item 8.2, which is a resolution 22-26, is it? 25? This is a resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Maricopa, Arizona, approving and adopting a minor general plan land use amendment to change the land use from existing employment to high-density residential for approximately 16.10 acres of land generally located at the southeast corner of Stonegate Road and Allen Stevens Parkway within the City of Maricopa incorporated limits, as described in case GPA 21-07. The land is located in the northeast quarter of Section 35, Township 4 South, Range 3 East of the Gila and Salt River Base and Meridian, Pinal County, Arizona. This is for discussion and action. Now, in the slide, it talked about motioning for two separate pieces, but that's not how we have it agendized on here, unless it's one single motion that we're making. So I guess between you, Rick, and legal, what is the preferred method by which we should proceed? Correct. Because in the slide presentation we had here, that there were two separate motions.
Mayor, I believe.
The two separate motions are the resolution followed by the ordinance, I believe. So if you just take it as presented on the agenda, we should.
Okay, but I think what he was referring to is the one was GPA 21-07, the other was Zone 21-05. So if you're saying we can do that in the resolution and the ordinance, perfect. We'll do that. I'm just going off of what the slide was also saying. So
Yeah, the ordinance is the rezone. The other one.
perfect. Okay, great.
Land use.
So so therefore that does hit what was being instructed here. Okay, so council, what is your preference here? Is there a motion on the resolution at this time?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I move that we approve Resolution 22-25.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second? There's a second. Is there any further discussion on this item at this time? Seeing no one, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. That takes us to the ordinance of 8.3 is 22-10. Again, I won't read the whole thing because it's basically the exact same thing I just read, but an ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of Maricopa, Arizona, approving and adopting an amendment to the city's zoning map to rezone approximately 16.10 acres of land generally located at southeast corner of Stonegate and Allen Stevens Parkway. So again, this is for discussion and action. Just approve the resolution. This is for the ordinance. Is there a motion? There's the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's the second. Any further discussion on the ordinance at this time? Seeing no one, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, that concludes our agenda for this evening. Thank you very much for your participation and for being here. And we will go ahead and adjourn for 2 weeks' time. We will see you here in a couple of weeks. Can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. We're adjourned.